Do you think Reaves is part of the long-term plan? Do you think right now, as that front office sits there today, eventually he's going to get paid and he deserves it, and he'll go back to market value, and they benefited off of his current contract and his production. But do you think, I know nobody's got a crystal ball in this, but do you think in a couple of years we're talking about how Austin Reaves is doing whatever he's doing, but continuing to do it with the Lakers?
I think it's part of the long term plan, but I would say that as we saw with AD, remember the Lakers were talking about AD is going to be the
Yeah,
face, the next face of the franchise. LeBron's passing the baton to him. He's the next guy that they're going to be building around. It's about getting that second star with AD, and then they traded him. So I think that changed how I view the Lakers saying anyone's untouchable. Like I think Luka's at a different level where he's not even in his prime yet, and
sure.
I mean, just the way that trade was lauded, I don't see them trading or moving on from Luka anytime soon. But I think with Austin, I mean, he's not at that untouchable level, right? So I think we can agree there that for as good as he's been, as I think as impressive as he was last season, I think he's gotten better every season. I think he's gotten better within the season every season, which is a hard thing to do. A lot of guys just you see the improvement early in the season, then they kind of stabilize. Austin's always like you see the improvement and then it just keeps rising. Did have a rough playoffs, but I would say with Austin, I think he's in the short-term plan in terms of I don't think they want to trade him this summer. I don't think they want to trade him next season. I think that the thing that could change that is how does it look with Luka? Let's say they make the trade or two and they sign the guy for the 5.7. They add in 3-4 new pieces, reshuffle this rotation, this roster. How does it look next season? And is there still this ceiling there where maybe they go 52-30 and lose in the second round and Austin struggles again? Then all of a sudden, I think you have to put Austin on the table in a real way. And maybe at that point his trade value decreases a little bit. And that's something that you kind of missed out on. But I think they want to see it. And I think it was telling that Rob Pelinka said that Austin was one of the pillars along with Luka and LeBron. I don't think he says that lightly. So the fact that he put Austin in that conversation, again, doesn't mean he's not touchable, doesn't mean they can't move him, but it's definitely not plan A, B, or C for the Lakers to trade Austin Reaves. So I think the plan right now will be to offer him that extension. He's not going to sign it. It's below market value for him, but at least make the gesture, then go into next season, see how it looks. And at the earliest, you can look at the 2026 deadline and see where things are at. And maybe if it's not working, you can flip him, or you can re-sign him in 2026, and then you have to the 2027 deadline once he's trade eligible, because once you re-sign, you have that period there where you can't be traded. Then you look at 2027, and again, if things, you've rebuilt the roster, maybe you've added a new star, LeBron's retired, you see where things are at, and then maybe you could flip him then. But I do not anticipate them trying to flip him this summer. I've seen all the fake trades. Most of them, the Lakers would just not even consider. So I think they're going to try to keep him, make this work with Luka, and then figure it out either next season or the season after if they want to end up moving him.
By the way, I think that's so wildly fair for the front office to say, can we see what we got here first? Can you really, you just had a couple of months with them. Okay, what will it look like if they do put the proper pieces around them? I think that is very, very fair to look at the front office's perspective and say, can we see this thing marinate just a little bit? And I think that, and I'm with you. I think there are a lot of Laker fans out there, and I get it. I understand.
I get it.
There's a, hey, that's not going to be a championship backcourt. There's an overreaction. I understand where everybody's coming from that perspective, but I don't think you're asking too much to say, well, can we just see what this looks like going into a training camp, going in, trying to put together the proper roster, and then go from there. So I think that part's fair. Jovan, final one I got for you, brother, and I appreciate the time as always.
Of course.
Is there a team in the offseason that, or maybe a couple of teams that you would say, hey, watch out for these squads? And I'm probably leaning more towards the West, that you just think when the dust settles, they're going to be a problem, not just for next year, for years to come. Is there a team that you look at and think are going to be in the mix here for a few years, and not just OKC, because we know they're going to be in the mix.
Yeah. Breaking news. I think OKC is going to be pretty good.
I think they'll be pretty good.
We're just looking at their cap sheet, and they have let's say their top 11 guys, only 2 of them are above 27. So
oh my gosh,
I think they're going to be good for a little bit here. I look at Houston and San Antonio as the 2 teams that, depending on how aggressive they want to be this offseason, it could be going for the well, now it's starting to look like Giannis might not be available, but that also could just be some posturing. But let's say Giannis, KD, is Jaylen Brown available in Boston? Are they getting real aggressive with their tear down there and taking a gap year or 2 as Tatum recovers from the Achilles? So those teams could get in the mix for that caliber of player, but they could also get in the mix for a lesser caliber of player. And this is where I'll bring in a third team that I think is a team people have talked about a little bit, but not quite. Like, I think Houston and San Antonio are 2 popular ones that people are talking about a lot. But I look at New Orleans, and they are bringing in new management. They're now under Joe Dumars, and they're at an interesting crossroads where they have a roster that just doesn't make a lot of sense. They have a lot of players with similar skill sets or conflicting skill sets. So I look at New Orleans and what happens with Zion, but even what happens with a Herb Jones, a Trey Murphy, and some of Misi, the rookie from last year. Like what happens with, they just got a lot of young, interesting talent. And again, I just don't think that roster can stay healthy, but also it just doesn't really make sense together. So I think New Orleans could be an interesting way station for some of these teams where, okay, maybe Jaylen Brown, Boston wants to keep him. They want to keep the Brown Tatum thing together. Giannis isn't really available. And let's say KD goes to Houston. Then San Antonio, could you go pry a Trey Murphy or a Herb Jones from New Orleans? And like, it's not the sexiest move, but that's a starting level or like high level bench player who can be a part of your foundation moving forward around Wemby, or the inverse of maybe San Antonio gets KD and then Houston is the one who goes out and maybe consolidates some of their pieces for a better player. So I think those are the 2 teams with the most assets in between their young talent, also their picks that can make some noise. But then I also look at New Orleans as a team that could really shift the West depending on who they make available and how if they view themselves as like next year we could be a playoff team, then all of a sudden obviously that changes that. But I think it's hard to make that case. So I think New Orleans could be one team that is like a sneaky domino team, or if teams miss out on the top guys, maybe they go calling to New Orleans and are asking for some of these guys who I think because they play New Orleans maybe don't get as much love as they should.
All right, thank you very much for watching the clip. Just want to give a shout out here to one of our partners, the Wallace Firm. They are official injury attorney of the Sliwa Show and Hoops Talk, the entire channel. If you are ever in a need, and I hope you're not, but some type of serious injury with yourself or a family member of yours, I would like to personally help you by introducing you to the best in the business, Brad Wallace and the Wallace Firm. Also got a URL out here that you can use as well. Just go to wallacewins.com/Sliwa. Thank you for their partnership, and thank you for being a part of the Sliwa Show.